Welcome to Sree Academy. Myself Venkatesh. Today I am going to teach that engineering mechanics subject. And the next one, collinear force. Collinear. If all the forces acting in single plane, that's we call it as collinear forces. Collinear forces. See, if the forces acting in single plane in one direction or in same direction is nothing but a collinear forces. See, this is one plane and here I am taking F1, F2, F3, F4. So these are the four forces. This is one plane. Take this is as a XX plane, right? So these all forces acting in single plane in same direction or in one direction, that we call it as collinear forces. So that F1, F2, F3 and F4 are, we call it as collinear forces. Now the next one you only tell. Coplanar concurrent forces. What do you mean by coplanar? If the forces are acting in the same axis, that's we call it as coplanar. Concurrent means if the forces are meeting at single point, that one we call it as concurrent forces. That combination of this first and second, that we call it as coplanar concurrent force system. See, the forces are acting in same axis and at a single point if forces meet, that is nothing but coplanar concurrent force system. See, the example for coplanar concurrent system is double cover butt joint. This word you will study in the steel structure subject, right? And this is one member and this is one more member. I need to join these two members. We have different ways, that is by using bolts or by using rivets or by using welding, we can join the two members. Here the double cover butt joint is nothing but I am adding two plates at upper and bottom, that we call it as double cover butt joint, right? So here the forces are acting in the same axis, yes or no? Here the F1 force is like this, here the force F2 like this, but the axis is same, right? The axis is same and these two forces are meeting at point O, yes or no? So this is the coplanar concurrent force system. And the next one, coplanar non-concurrent system. Coplanar non-concurrent system. What do you mean by coplanar non-concurrent system? Coplanar is again if the forces are acting in the same axis and non-concurrent. That non-concurrent is nothing but that all the forces not meeting at single point, that's we call it as coplanar non-concurrent system. See, if forces are acting, what is that? Coplanar means acting in same axis, but what is that? But if the forces not meeting at a single point, we call it as coplanar non-concurrent system. Here the example for the coplanar non-concurrent system is simply supported beam. Simply supported beam. Sir, how that simply supported is the example? Let me explain. See, this is a simply supported beam, yes or no? Right. So this is one force and this is one force. Here three forces W1, W2, W3, and here F1, F2. Here the F1, F2, that reaction, here coplanar is nothing but the forces are acting in the same axis, but they are not meeting at single point. Here this is YY axis only, right? Yes or no? That all the forces F1, F2, W1, W2, W3, these all five forces are in Y axis only, right? Like this in vertical direction only, right? There are no horizontal forces. So that is in YY axis. If the forces are acting in the same axis, yes, that all the forces acting in the same axis, W1, W2, W3, F1 and F2, but not meeting at single point. Here the force F1, F2, W1, W2, W3 is acting at single point, is meeting at single point? No. That is, we call it as coplanar non-concurrent system. Right. So these are the thing, and the two more things are there. Right. The next one, sixth one, non-coplanar concurrent system. What do you mean by non-coplanar concurrent system? Again, if you know that first two definition, that is what you mean by coplanar forces, what you mean concurrent force system, then you can write that four definition. Here non-coplanar is nothing but that all the forces are not acting not acting in same axis but concurrent. Concurrent is nothing but the forces are meeting at a single point. That means all the forces are meeting at single point is called as coplanar, non-coplanar concurrent system. See, if the system of forces, if the system of forces if the system of forces not passing through same axis but meeting at single point is called as non-coplanar concurrent system. Non-coplanar concurrent system. See, here the example for the non-coplanar concurrent system is tripod. How it will be tripod? We'll use in the surveying. This is the tripod, right? This is the instrument we'll fix over the tripod. Yes or no? See, this is one force and this is one force and this is one force. See, this and the force that instrument, that weight I am taking W, this one F1, F2, F3. See, is that are in the same axis? No. This F1, F2, F3, W, those are different axes. But all the forces are meeting at a common point, that is O, that is the non-coplanar concurrent system. Tripod is the example. And the last one, non-coplanar non-concurrent system. What do you mean by non-coplanar non-concurrent system? If you know that first two definition, then the remaining definitions will be easy. That non-coplanar is nothing but that all the forces are not passing through the same axis. Non-concurrent is nothing but that all the forces are not meeting at a single point is called as a non-coplanar non-concurrent system. Right. If the forces not passing through same axis and also not meeting at a single point is nothing but non-coplanar non-concurrent system. Now tell me the example for the non-coplanar non-concurrent system. Tell me the example. Right. The example is building frame. See, the building frame, these are the columns, these are the footings, right. This is the ground level This is the first floor, second floor, third floor. Right. Here the forces are like this, see. In each and every member, the forces are in different axes and not meeting at a single point. In all the members like this. They are not meeting at single point and the axes are totally different. Here these members are in x-axis, these members are y-axis, but not meeting at single point. So this is the non-coplanar, non-concurrent system. The next one, vector, scalar and tensor. What do you mean by, already you studied what do you mean by scalar quantity, what do you mean by vector quantity, but you did not studied tensor quantity, right? So scalar is nothing but only magnitude but no direction is called as a scalar quantity. The examples for the scalar quantity is mass, length, time, etc., etc. Right. And the next one, vector. What do you mean by vector? Vector is nothing but magnitude plus one direction is called as vector. There will be magnitude and only one direction, that's we call it as vector. The examples for the vector is pressure, velocity, etc. There are different. And the next one, important, tensor. What do you mean by tensor? Important. Tensor is nothing but there is magnitude same like vector quantity, same like scalar quantity. There is magnitude in the three things, scalar, vector and tensor, but more than one direction is nothing but tensor. The examples for the tensor is very important. Stress, strain and moment of inertia. So these three things are the tensor quantities: stress, strain and moment of inertia. One magnitude, more than one direction, we call it as a tensor. Scalar is nothing but only magnitude, there is no direction, that's we call it as scalar. That already scalar quantity, vector quantity you will study in the physics, but tensor quantity is the only usually in the engineering mechanics and strength of material. These words, stress, strain, moment of inertia, we will use these words in the engineering mechanics as well as strength of material subject and related to all structural subjects. So stress, strain, moment of inertia comes under tensor quantity. Is that clear?